The Galactic Council had made many mistakes in its 17,000-year history, but none quite as spectacular as underestimating the species from Sol 3. That little blue marble, spinning innocently in the backwater regions of the Orion Arm, had just delivered the most audacious message in recorded history. And frankly, we should have seen it coming. They said what? Supreme Admiral Korth Vex slammed all four of his primary appendages onto the obsidian conference table, causing the holographic display to flicker. His crimson eyes bulged from their sockets as he stared at the transmission data floating before him. Communications Officer Nala Prime, a being whose species had perfected the art of delivering bad news with insufferable calm, cleared her throat equivalent. The humans have rejected our ultimatum, Admiral. Their exact words were, and I quote, she paused, her translucent fingers dancing over the control interface. Go ahead. We are waiting. A collective gasp rippled through the assembled delegates. The Thackeray representatives' tentacles writhed in what could only be described as diplomatic horror. Even the normally stoic Centaurians began clicking their mandibles in distress. Waiting. Admiral Korthvex's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. They are waiting? The irony wasn't lost on anyone present. The Galactic Council had just offered humanity the deal of the century. Complete subjugation in exchange for not being vaporized from orbit. Most species would have jumped at such generosity. The humans? They had the sheer audacity to soundboard. There's more, Nala Prime continued, her voice betraying the slightest hint of what humans might call amusement. They also transmitted detailed schematics of something they call Project Boomerang. Our xenoengineers are concerned. Council member Zith-9, whose species had conquered 47 star systems through superior technology and overwhelming firepower, leaned forward. Concerned how exactly? Well, Nala Prime's bioluminescent patches flickered. It appears the humans have been reverse engineering our weapons for the past 50 years. Every single piece of technology we have graciously allowed them to glimpse during our reconnaissance missions, they have not only replicated it, but somehow made it better, smaller, faster, and infinitely more terrifying. The silence that followed could have been bottled and sold as premium dread. Admiral Korth Vex felt his secondary hearts skip a beat. Better how? The holographic display shifted, showing detailed breakdowns of human modifications to Galactic Council technology. What they saw defied every principle of advanced engineering they thought they understood. They took our plasma cannons and somehow increased their output by 300% while reducing their size by half. Nala Prime explained, her tone growing increasingly concerned. Our shield generators? They have created portable versions that individual soldiers can carry. And don't get me started on what they did to our faster-than-light communication arrays. What do they do? Zith-9 asked, though his posture suggested he really didn't want to know. They weaponized them. Another wave of horrified silence swept through the chamber. The Thackeray delegates' tentacles had gone completely limp, hanging like defeated party streamers. The Centaurians had stopped clicking altogether, which in their culture was roughly equivalent to a full-scale panic attack. Admiral Korth Vex rubbed his temples with two of his smaller appendages. Explain to me how one weaponizes a communication array. Apparently, Nala Prime continued with the enthusiasm of someone describing a particularly virulent plague. They discovered that if you overload the quantum entanglement matrix and redirect the tachyon burst through a modified field generator, you can create what they call a reality disruption pulse. In layman's terms, it makes things stop existing. Things stop existing completely, as in they never were. The Admiral's skin shifted from its usual deep purple to a sickly green. How many of these weapons do they have? Unknown. But based on the energy signatures we detected during their last test, they have at least 50 installations capable of this level of output. And Admiral, Nala Prime paused, her expression growing even more grave. Those were just the ones they wanted us to see. Council member Vraktor, who had remained silent throughout the briefing, finally spoke up. His species, the hegemony of worlds, had never encountered a situation they couldn't solve through superior firepower and intimidation. This is preposterous. One primitive species cannot possibly threaten the combined might of the Galactic Council. We have over 10,000 battle cruisers, planetary defense networks spanning 300 systems, and weapons capable of cracking moons in half. Had corrected Nala Prime quietly. I beg your pardon? Had 10,000 battle cruisers. We're down to about 7,000 now. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. What happened to the other 3,000? They appear to have suffered catastrophic system failures over the past 6 months. Nothing dramatic, mind you, just random malfunctions. Life support systems developing mysterious glitches. Navigation computers calculating impossible trajectories. Weapon systems refusing to power up when pointed at anything from the Sol system. Admiral Korthvex felt something cold settle in his stomach. You are telling me the humans have been sabotaging our fleet? Not sabotaging. Nala Prime corrected with disturbing precision. Improving. Every single malfunction has actually made the affected systems more efficient. Our ships are now 40% more fuel efficient. Their life support systems are cleaner and more reliable, and their weapons are significantly more accurate. Then what's the problem? They only work when not targeting human settlements. Point them at anything else in the galaxy? Perfect performance. Try to use them against Earth or any human colony. She shrugged, a gesture she had apparently learned from studying human behavior. Complete system shutdown. The revelation hit the assembled delegates like a metaphysical brick to the face. The humans hadn't just been preparing for war. They had been restructuring the very fabric of Galactic Council military superiority. And they had done it so subtly, so cleverly, that no one had noticed until it was far too late. How? Whispered Zith9. How is this possible? Near as we can tell, Nala Prime replied, consulting her data pad. They figured out our technology better than we did. Remember all those cultural exchange programs we initiated? Those primitive human engineers and scientists we allowed to study aboard our vessels. The ones who asked all those annoying questions. Admiral Korthvex remembered them well. Irritating creatures who seemed pathologically incapable of accepting simple explanations. Those very ones. Turns out when a human asks, but why does it work that way? They're not being annoying. They are reverse engineering your entire technological foundation while you are explaining it to them. Every single human who participated in those programs went back to Earth with a complete understanding of at least one major Galactic Council system. The Admiral's headache was getting worse. And then they shared this information extensively. They have something called the Internet, where they post detailed technical specifications for fun. We found 17 different human websites dedicated to improving our plasma rifle designs. As a hobby, apparently, they find our technology quaint but inefficient. There are human teenagers who have built better starship engines in their spare time, using scavenge parts, and what they call elbow grease, whatever that means. Council member Vraktor's composure finally cracked. This is impossible. We are the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. We have mastered faster-than-light travel, planetary engineering, and quantum manipulation. Yes, Nala Prime agreed cheerfully. And we are very good at following instructions. Humans, on the other hand, seem constitutionally incapable of leaving anything alone. Show them a perfectly functional device, and within hours they will have taken it apart, improved it, and built 17 variations just to see what happens. What do they want? Admiral Korthvex asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. Based on our transmission? Nothing. They are not asking for territory, resources, or political concessions. They just want us to leave them alone. The exact message was refreshingly direct. Go away, or we will make you go away. And if we refuse? Nala Prime's expression grew decidedly uncomfortable. They have provided a demonstration. The holographic display shifted again, showing long-range sensor data from the outer rim of Council space. What they saw defied explanation, an entire star system that had simply stopped. The star continued burning. The planets maintained their orbits, but everything technological had ceased to function. Ships drifted powerless through space. Planetary defense networks sat silent and dark. Communication arrays transmitted nothing but static. The Zirian Collective, Admiral Korthvex breathed. What happened to them? They volunteered to test human resolve, Nalaprime replied. The humans sent them a single ship. A small one. Our long-range sensors barely detected it before it reached the system's edge, transmitted a brief message, and departed. What was the message? This is what happens when you don't listen. Then every piece of technology in the system more advanced than a mechanical clock simply stopped working. Permanently. The silence stretched until it became physically uncomfortable. Finally, Zith-9 managed to croak. How many humans were on that ship? One. One human did this to an entire star system. Apparently. And according to their final transmission to us, that was their polite warning. The actual response to continued aggression will be, and I quote, significantly less friendly. Admiral Korthvex stared at the holographic display, watching the dead ships drift through space around a perfectly functional star system. The Zirian Collective had been one of the Council's most advanced members, with technology that could reshape matter at the molecular level. They had been rendered completely helpless by a single human in a small ship. Recommendations? He asked quietly. Personally, Nalaprime's bioluminescent patches flickered in what he now recognized as human-influenced amusement. I suggest we do exactly what they asked. Go away, far away, and very quickly. You are suggesting we retreat from a single primitive species. Admiral, with all due respect, they stopped being primitive the moment we made contact with them. We just failed to notice. She gestured toward the holographic display. They have spent 50 years studying us, learning from us, and improving upon everything we showed them. While we were congratulating ourselves on our generosity and superiority, they were systematically making us obsolete. The truth of it settled over the chamber like a heavy blanket. The Galactic Council, in their infinite wisdom and cosmic arrogance, had handed their greatest potential threat the keys to their own destruction. And the humans? They had politely said thank you and then built something better. There's one more thing, Nalaprime added quietly. The humans included a personal message for you, Admiral. Korthvex straightened. For me specifically? Yes, sir. It simply says, thanks for the upgrade tutorials. We'll take it from here. She paused. Oh, and they have invited you to visit Earth sometime. They'd apparently like to show you what they have built with what you taught them. The Admiral considered this invitation for exactly 3 seconds before making his decision. Signal the fleet. Full retreat to the Andromeda staging area. Maximum burn. Sir, we are leaving. Now, before they decide their polite warning period has expired. As the great ships of the Galactic Council began their ignominious retreat from human space, one final transmission arrived from Earth. It was brief, almost casual in tone, and delivered with that uniquely human mixture of courtesy and menace that had become their signature. Have a safe trip home. Try not to come back. The message was signed simply, Earth's Department of Xenological Relations, Customer Service Division. Customer service. They had reduced the mighty Galactic Council to a customer service issue. Admiral Korthvex settled back in his command chair and wondered how exactly one explained to 17,000 years of galactic civilization that they had just been politely but firmly ejected from human space by what amounted to a complaint department. The worst part? He was pretty sure the humans were just getting started 0.3 months after what historians would later call the Great Galactic Retreat. Admiral Korthvex found himself in an even more humiliating position, requesting an audience with the species he'd been ordered to conquer. The irony tasted like fermented plasma fuel. They're actually agreeing to meet with us. Council member Zith-9's voice cracked with barely contained hysteria. After everything we have done? Nalaprime nodded, her bioluminescent patches flickering with what the Admiral had learned to recognize as suppressed laughter. The humans have agreed to a diplomatic conference. Location: Neutral Space Station Harmony 7, near the Vega system. What do they want in return? Admiral Korthvex asked because in his experience, nobody did anything without wanting something. Nothing, Nalaprime replied. They said, and I quote, "We figure you have learned your lesson, but just in case you haven't, We are prepared to provide additional educational opportunities. The Admiral's third stomach clenched. Educational opportunities. Coming from humans, that phrase carried the same ominous weight as enhanced interrogation or aggressive negotiations. There's more. Nala Prime continued, consulting her datapad. They have sent along a gift. A gift? Raktor's mandibles clicked nervously. What kind of gift? Technical specifications for something they call the Galactic Peace Initiative. Apparently, they have been working on it during their spare time. The holographic display materialized above the conference table, showing detailed schematics that made absolutely no sense to any of the assembled xenobiologists, engineers, or military strategists. The device appeared to be roughly the size of a small moon, constructed from materials that shouldn't exist, powered by energy sources that defied physics, and equipped with capabilities that made their reality disruption pulse look like a child's toy. What does it do? The Admiral asked, though he was fairly certain he didn't want to know. Near as our best minds can determine, Nala Prime said carefully, it appears to be a galaxy-wide peacekeeping device. Once activated, it would make aggressive military action impossible anywhere within approximately 50,000 light-years. Impossible how? Well, any weapon designed to cause harm would simply, she gestured vaguely, stop working, permanently, along with any technology used to oppress, subjugate, or generally make people miserable. The silence that followed was the kind of quiet that civilizations experience just before they realize they are extinct. They built a device that eliminates war. Zith 9 whispered, built? Oh no, Nala Prime corrected cheerfully. They haven't built it yet. These are just the preliminary designs they have been sketching out during coffee breaks. The actual construction would take them maybe 6 months, assuming they don't get distracted by other projects. Admiral Korthvex felt his remaining dignity slip away like water through a cracked hull. Other projects? Faster-than-light travel that doesn't require exotic matter. Universal translators that work on emotional context rather than just language. Terraforming technology that actually improves planets instead of just making them habitable. And something they call quantum gardening that we are still trying to understand. Quantum gardening, apparently, they have figured out how to grow food using controlled probability manipulation. Their agricultural output has increased by 4,000% in the last year, and they're offering to share the technology with anyone who promises to use it responsibly. Raktor's composure finally shattered completely. They are offering to end galactic hunger as a casual gesture of goodwill. That's humans for you, Nala Prime said with something approaching admiration. They solve problems we didn't even know we had, then offer to teach everyone else how to do it better. The Admiral stared at the holographic display, trying to process the magnitude of what he was seeing. The Galactic Council had spent 17,000 years building an empire based on military superiority and technological hoarding. The humans had spent 50 years quietly making that entire foundation irrelevant. The meeting, he said finally, were their terms. No terms. They said, just show up and we will talk. Oh, but they did mention that any ships approaching the station should probably disable their weapon systems first. Should probably. Their exact words were, we'd hate for there to be any unfortunate accidents. Nala Prime's patches flickered again. Given what happened to the Xerian Collective, I believe this constitutes what humans call friendly advice. 2 weeks later, Admiral Korthvex found himself aboard the diplomatic vessel Concord, approaching Harmony, 7 with all weapon systems not just disabled, but physically removed and stored in the cargo bay. The human ship waiting for them was underwhelming. That's it? He asked, staring at the small, unremarkable vessel floating near the station. That's their diplomatic craft? Sensors indicate it's constructed primarily of standard commercial-grade materials, his tactical officer reported. Hull thickness suggests it's not even military specification. No detectable weapons, minimal shielding, and the power output is barely sufficient for basic life support. Then why, the Admiral asked slowly, are our proximity alarms going insane? Unknown, sir. The ship registers as completely harmless, but our threat assessment systems are suggesting we maintain maximum distance and prepare for immediate retreat. The admiral had learned to trust his ship's threat assessment systems. They had kept him alive through 40 years of military service, 3 wars, and countless diplomatic missions. If they said the harmless-looking human ship was dangerous, then it was probably capable of rendering his vessel into component atoms without breaking a sweat. Maintain current distance. Signal our approach and request docking instructions. The response came immediately, transmitted in perfect galactic standard with a cheerful human accent. Welcome to Harmony 7. Please proceed to docking bay 12. We have prepared refreshments and look forward to our conversation. Try not to worry about the energy readings your sensors are probably detecting. That's just our coffee maker. Their coffee maker was registering energy signatures equivalent to a small star. The human representative waiting for them in the station's main conference room was not what Admiral Korthvex had expected. Dr. Rebecca Martinez was small even by human standards, wearing simple civilian clothing and carrying what appeared to be a standard datapad. She looked like she could be defeated by a stiff breeze. "Admiral Korthvex," she said, rising from her chair with a warm smile. "Thank you for coming. Please, sit wherever you are comfortable." The Admiral settled into the specially constructed chair designed for his species, acutely aware that his 4-meter frame and multiple appendages made him look like a predatory nightmare next to the tiny human. "Dr. Martinez, I confess, I expected someone more militaristic." "Oh, I'm not military," she replied, settling back in her chair. "I'm a kindergarten teacher from Ohio. I volunteered for this assignment because I have experience dealing with beings who haven't learned to play well with others." The insult was delivered so cheerfully that it took the Admiral several seconds to process it. When he did, he found himself caught between outrage and grudging admiration. "You compare the Galactic Council to children. Well, Dr. Martinez said thoughtfully, you did try to solve a diplomatic problem by threatening to blow up our planet. In my classroom, we call that a tantrum. We offered you generous terms for peaceful surrender. You offered us slavery with better marketing." Her smile never wavered. "The children I teach have better negotiation skills." Admiral Korthvex felt his secondary hearts skip again. "And what would you consider appropriate terms?" "Simple. You leave us alone, we leave you alone. Everyone goes home happy." She consulted her datapad. "Though I should mention, we have made some improvements to galactic infrastructure while you have been away." The holographic display activated, showing a real-time map of Galactic Council space. What the Admiral saw made his vision blur with shock. Every single Council world was now connected by a network of quantum communication relays that hadn't existed 3 months ago. Trade routes that had taken weeks to navigate were now accessible in hours. Planetary defense networks showed efficiency improvements of over 900%. "How?" he croaked. "We got bored waiting for you to make up your minds," Dr. Martinez explained. "So we decided to fix a few things that were bothering us. Your communication network was embarrassingly slow, your trade routes were inefficient, and don't get me started on your planetary defense systems. We took the liberty of upgrading everything. Without permission, without consultation, we left notes," she said defensively. "Very polite notes explaining what we were doing and why, along with instruction manuals for all the new equipment. You left notes in 17 different languages, with pictographic supplements for species that don't use traditional text. We are not savages." Admiral Korthvex stared at the display, watching real-time data flows that represented technological capabilities beyond his wildest dreams. "What do you want to return for these gifts?" "Nothing," Dr. Martinez replied. "We fixed them because they were broken. You don't charge people for fixing things that are broken. That would be rude." The concept was so alien to the Admiral's understanding of galactic politics that his brain briefly seized up. "Nothing." "Well," she amended, "we would appreciate it if you stopped trying to conquer people. It's very disruptive, and frankly, you're not very good at it." "Not good at it." "We have conquered 47 star systems." "Yes, and you have made an absolute mess of most of them. Poor resource management, inadequate infrastructure development, and don't get me started on your approach to cultural integration." She shook her head sadly. We have spent the last month fixing your conquered territories too. You what? Improved agricultural output, streamlined government services, upgraded medical facilities, that sort of thing. The populations of your conquered worlds wanted to send thank you notes, but we told them to thank you instead. After all, if you hadn't conquered them, we wouldn't have known they needed help. Admiral Korthvex felt reality sliding sideways. The humans had spent 3 months casually fixing everything wrong with the Galactic Council's 17,000-year empire, and they were giving the Council credit for it. Why? He asked weakly. Because it needed fixing, Dr. Martinez replied, as if explaining something obvious to a particularly slow child. And because we could. Isn't that reason enough? The Admiral looked around the conference room, taking in the simple furnishings, the cheerful human with her datapad full of galaxy-reshaping technological miracles, and the terrible, wonderful reality of what had happened. The Galactic Council had tried to conquer humanity and had instead been conquered by their absolute refusal to be anything other than helpful. What happens now, he asked. Now, Dr. Martinez smiled that warm, terrifying smile. Now you go home. Try to govern more responsibly. And remember that if you ever need help with anything at all, just ask. We're always happy to lend a hand. And the Galactic Peace Initiative, oh that, she waved dismissively. We decided not to build it. Turns out, the threat of building it was sufficient. Aggressive behavior galaxy-wide has dropped by 97% since we released those specifications. The threat worked better than the actual device. People are remarkably reasonable when they understand the consequences of being unreasonable. She stood and extended her hand. It's been a pleasure, Admiral. Safe travels. Admiral Korthvex took the small human hand in one of his primary appendages, marveling at how something so fragile could belong to a species that had just casually revolutionized galactic civilization. AS's ship departed Harmony 7. The Admiral reviewed the data packets Dr. Martinez had given him. Detailed instructions for maintaining all the improvements humans had made to Council space, suggestions for better governance practices, and a recipe for something called chocolate chip cookies that she insisted would improve diplomatic relations. The bottom of the final file was a simple message. Remember, the galaxy is big enough for everyone. Try to be good neighbors. 6 months later, the Galactic Council officially dissolved itself and reformed as the Interstellar Cooperative, with a charter focused on mutual aid rather than conquest. The humans politely declined leadership positions, saying they were busy with other projects. Nobody asked what those projects were. Some questions, the galaxy had learned, were better left unanswered. Admiral Korthvex, now Director of Diplomatic Relations for the Cooperative, kept Dr. Martinez's business card in his desk drawer, just in case that IT simply read, Rebecca Martinez, kindergarten teacher and occasional galactic peacekeeper. Have a nice day. The scariest part? He was pretty sure she meant it.